Greetings, explorers, and welcome back, where we're going to be breaking down various weapons, tools, and mechanics of the game's sandbox. Today, we're talking all things 5.56 by 45mm, both the caliber and the guns that utilize it. 5.56 is a very common round, due largely to the fact that it is the standard intermediate rifle cartridge used by NATO today. It's featured in an impressive amount of Western nations' primary infantry rifles, including but not limited to the American M4, German G36, French FAMAS, British SA-80, and Austrian AUG. It was derived from the 223 Remington cartridge designed in the late 1950s, but given a slightly larger powder load, thus increasing its pressure and velocity. Besides that, they are pretty much dimensionally identical, minus a few details. Hell, you can even run 223 in a 5.56 gun, just not vice versa, as the 223 barrel may not be able to handle the increased pressure. In-game, you have your standard assortment of available ammo types. FMJ is the baseline, doing 100% damage, having an armor penetration chance of 50%, and costing $360 for a box of 30 rounds. Armor piercing, or AP, does, as the name implies, pierce armor better with a 90% armor piercing chance. This comes at a cost of 15% of your damage, however. Subsonic, or SS rounds, are much quieter, but have reduced velocity and damage, doing only 90% damage and moving at only 40% of the base velocity. If you've watched my 545 video, the Russian equivalent to 5.56 NATO, you can see that we are getting higher penalties for using AP and SS at the same price point, so take that as you will. Moving on to the weapons, first we have the M4A1. To talk about the M4's history, we have to talk about the AR platform as a whole. Back in the late 1950s, Eugene Stoner designed the AR-10, the AR standing for Armor Light Rifle. Due to the US military's demand for a new intermediate caliber rifle, it was scaled down to the lighter AR-15. It would take some time for the rifle to be adopted, eventually receiving the M16 designation in 1964. Then in 1994, the M4 was introduced. Essentially just a carbine-length, improved M16A2, the M4A1 variant replaces the 3-round burst with a fully automatic fun switch. In-game, it has a weight of 2.7 kilograms, a mag size of 30, and a damage per shot of 50. On the receiver, you can see a fire selector, left being safe, up being semi, and right being fully automatic. Also something to note is that, like many pistols, this weapon has a last round bolt hold open. The bolt can be released with the fire selector button. Bear in mind that as of version 2.5, there is a bug that causes a round to be ejected from the magazine if the bolt is released manually with the charging handle. So you should always use the selector button to close the bolt. So after I wrote the script, the 2.6 beta came out, and it looks like that bug was fixed. It's still something to be aware of if you're not opting into the beta, but it will be fixed soon regardless. Same story for the AUG. From 100% to 50% durability, it will take around 15 mags or 450 shots. It has a ghost range style sight, great for close to mid-range engagements, but does lose a bit of precision further out. It has a cost of $6,500 in the Vano shop. For upgrades, you only have 2, plus 10% accuracy for $550, and burst fire for $600. Bear in mind, this thing comes with 4 B-rails and a suppressor adapter, by default. Unfortunately, the M4 is exclusive to the Vano shop. Overall, it's a very good rifle. Lightweight, comfortable, practical. The only drawback I see personally with it is its price and lack of availability. 7 out of 10. The other 5.56 option we have in the game is the Steyr AUG. Designed by Austrian firearms manufacturer Steyr Arms in 1977, it is a bullpup rifle still in service with the Austrian military to this day and is personally my favorite bullpup rifle ever produced. For those who don't know, a bullpup rifle is where the action is behind the trigger instead of in front of it. This results in the magazine being behind the trigger as well. The upside to this type of design is that you can achieve an overall longer barrel length in a more compact package. Personally, I find bullpups a bit awkward and clunky to use, but that is of course subjective. In game, it has a weight of 3.3 kilograms, a mag size of 30, and a damage per shot of 50. It has a safety, but only a safety. This gun actually has a very unique feature, a progressive trigger. Essentially what this means is, if the trigger is pulled halfway, it will shoot only a single round as if it were in semi-automatic mode. However, if the trigger is pulled all the way, then it will shoot in fully automatic. This feature does take some getting used to, but it can really help in a pinch. Take this example where I'm pretty sure it saves my life. Fucking around.
Oh, fuck me! Ah!
Also, the AUG has the same bug as I mentioned for the M4, where if you release the bolt with the charging handle, it will eject a round from the mag. Also, yes, this gun does have a last round bolt hold open, but it is not modeled on the gun for some reason. From 100% to 50% durability, it will take around 14 mags or 420 shots. The sights are pretty good, slightly better than the M4s I'd say. It has a cost of 5,000, it has the exact same upgrades as the M4. Incoming stash spoilers, skip to this time if you want to avoid those. An AUG can be found here in Pobeda Factory sitting on top of a truck stuck on a pillar. You can either run across it or bounce off of a reflector anomaly. Bear in mind that it does come below 50% condition, so you gotta pay for its repair. Overall, I find this a better option when compared to the M4. It takes a little getting used to, but once you've got it down, it has a greater all-round versatility at a much lower price. Also, it has one more major benefit that I'll get to in just a moment. So I'm giving it a final score of 8 out of 10. Now let's get into the recoil control and see how these two compare. Wow, that is a lot more drastic than I thought it would be. As you can see, the AUG is way more controllable than the M4, likely due to the lower rate of fire, able to keep rounds on target while the M4 just sprays to the moon. That, in conjunction with the progressive trigger, makes the AUG a much better fully automatic option, at least to me. All in all, it's hard to say whether the 5.56 can stand up to the other intermediate cartridges in the game. Nevertheless, it's still a very viable option, and will serve you well if you choose to use it. Until next time, explorers.